Go.
Okay, hi guys. Welcome to Pods. On today's episode, our main topic is going to be if these three of us could make our own countries, what would they look like? And we're gonna start off with a few minor things, namely we're gonna talk about the American Civil War between the left and the right. We're gonna talk about the California gun girl, quick about the attack on the AfD politician in Germany a few weeks ago, and we're gonna start up, if Samo doesn't mind, with a little oopsie Samo made.
A big oopsie.
A big oopsie. You got your Twitter account put in limited state.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you threaten to rape a female journalist? Did you threaten to dox someone? Did you threaten to kill the president? What is your crime?
My crime is I encouraged a female journalist to learn how to code because I thought it would really help her career out. I thought it was good advice. If I had the opportunity to learn to code, I would take it. But Jack Dorsey didn't like that. He didn't like a disabled person of color suggesting such a thing, so he decided to oppress me.
It's all very sordid.
Yes, very.
Yeah. Here it is.
All right, so are we still introing? We're good?
Yeah, the intro's done, I think.
Okay. Well, I didn't know I wanted to turn the music off that you guys couldn't hear. We're gonna have to figure that out. But okay.
Invisible music.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. I put Samuel's tweet on this on the screen.
Okay. Cool. Oh yeah, that's my tweet. That's my
yeah.
That's my crime against humanity, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't get banned. I'm on a 6-day timeout. So
you did appeal it, right?
Yeah, I did appeal it, and let's see, I did not receive any nothing back. Well, wait. Oh yeah, they did say they were looking into it. I don't think they're gonna do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
When do you get full access back?
6 days. So I will be a lucky man. In 6 days, it's like waiting for Christmas, man.
You're in Twitter jail.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter jail. You know what I'm gonna do? The first day I get off, I'm gonna get drunk that night, and I'm just gonna drunk tweet. That's how I'm gonna celebrate getting my my.
So you're saying Twitter prison has a lot of recidivism?
Yes, yeah.
A lot of what?
So I might offend, again, I might be a third time offender. After okay. So I'll just get drunk and get on and get banned.
Recidivism is like when you go to prison and then you get right, and
like
you
your risk
of
immediately
get arrested again because you're just a criminal and that's just what you're gonna do.
The revolving door.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So beyond that, Kaitlin Bennett is that's who you're talking about, the California gun girl, right?
Yeah, exactly.
InfoWars girl.
Yeah.
I got compared to her by Brittany the other day on Twitter.
By Brittany Venti.
No. Samuel's friend Brittany.
Oh, my friend Brittany.
Yeah.
What did she say? That's hilarious.
I posted a picture of me from the range.
Yeah.
With my buddy's rifle, and she said, "Move over, Kaitlin Bennett." It's like, I wish.
That's hilarious. That's funny. I like it.
Yeah. What specifically though, Tommy?
Yeah, I have the video. So yeah. I actually forgot to read up on the story. Yeah, as far as I know, she's a college graduate in California, and she, I think, filed a lawsuit in order to be able to graduate with a huge ass rifle on her back. Yeah, and
she's a national treasure, is what she is.
Yeah, she did a video. Okay, yeah, she won. So she apparently did that, graduated with an AR-10, with a sniper scope and everything, and she did a video where she runs around the campus talking to students in disguise, in air quotes. She has the Superman disguise. She has glasses on.
She's going full Clark Kent mode.
Yeah. Do you want to watch the video? Does this work?
Yeah, it should. I don't think they're gonna hear any. any audio. I can try and pull it up if you'd like me to.
Yeah, you need to pull up the actual stream on YouTube.
Okay. Here we go. Let's see. What's your name? Kaitlin Bennett?
Yeah, Kaitlin Bennett.
And do you want me to watch is it a 2-minute video?
Yeah, it's a 2-minute video.
And you want me to play the whole thing? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, it's not that important. Basically, she runs around. Yeah, okay. It's pretty funny actually. She runs around and asks people, and they give her the opinion they have on her without knowing that it's her.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull it up. Sorry, guys. I am pretty.
No, I meant.
Yeah, there you go.
I can play it with screen share, and you just have to watch our stream on YouTube.
Here it comes.
What's up, guys? I'm Kaitlin Bennett, the Kent State gun girl, and today I'm going undercover at Kent State to see what students think about Kent.
Do you want me to play?
The Kent State gun girl.
I'm playing it right now actually, so they can hear the audio and everything. But you can play it too, like if you want.
Rifle on her back.
I don't know, it's fine.
She was in my hall. I walked right past her. Yeah.
You walked right past her?
Are we talking over it right now?
Yes.
Over the top and ridiculous, and it
Let's.
got that much attention.
I would say something, but she might clap me. I don't want to threaten
No,
her.
say
There's
your
like
opinion.
one guy's like, I don't want to give my opinion. I don't want her to shoot me.
I saw her in East Bay the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw her in Eastway? No way. Oh my gosh,
It's crazy to think that she had a rifle in her
They
bag.
don't seem that outraged.
she had it in her bag.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
I am
Yeah,
an avid
depends
supporter of
on
the Second Amendment,
when
but
you
I
watch.
don't believe that an AR-15 belongs here on Kent campus.
I just think what she did was disrespectful, especially knowing the campus's history with, like, firearms.
This girl literally walked on campus right over there with a rifle in her
This
bag
is
in her
hilarious.
graduation photos. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I feel like what she is just like shitty. No offense.
Yeah.
I mean, what she.
You think she's shitty?
I think she's pretty shitty, to be honest.
So if you guys were next to her right now, like, what would you say to her, knowing that she did all that?
I actually rehearsed this last night in the shower.
If you
We
were
got a
next to
little
her
bit more
right now,
left.
what advice would you give her?
Get more schooling, go back for your master's, get a job. I don't know if she has a job, but I know she's coming back here for an open carry rally. If that
She's doing what?
she's coming back here for an open carry rally.
What would you say to her if you saw her here right now?
I'd say go fuck yourself.
I would just say goodbye.
So what if I told you I am that girl? What if I told you that I am that girl?
Oh my gosh, really?
What if I told you that I am that girl?
Wow, okay, I'd be very surprised.
What if I told you guys that I'm that girl? Do you still think I'm shitty?
I mean, I just don't think what she's doing is really appropriate for this campus.
So if you guys were in front of her right now, what would you say?
I would say, hey, if it's you, I ain't gonna say that. We've been compromised.
So I did want to say something about this real quick that's pretty interesting to me. The one thing that you'll notice in that video is as soon as basically as soon as this person, they find out that it's the girl in real life, the way they treated her totally changed. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. What would you say to her if you wait? Let me pull up the picture. Oh, I already have screen share.
She's
on.
probably a little bit too religious to want to date me, but I would definitely ask her to go on a drink, at least see if she can handle some whiskey.
Yeah, she probably
I
can
think
handle
I'm-
some whiskey, I bet.
As far as I know, she has a boyfriend.
Oh.
Oh well,
If she's
I got a
religious,
goldfish. Are
probably
we talking
just-
about shit that doesn't matter?
What? What?
I said I have a goldfish.
okay,
What are we
yeah.
talking about? Shit that doesn't matter?
Yeah. If she would ask me what I think about this, I would just say it's super impractical. Well,
Yeah.
You need like you need at least like 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds to get this thing off your back and aim with it, and then you can't aim at anything that is closer than 100 yards because you have fucking sniper scope on it.
Well, it's a good thing that, I mean, that's not really the reason she brought it to that event.
I get that it's a statement, but yeah,
it is annoying.
If she would have come up to me on the street like she did with these people, I would have said that, yeah, I think the choice of gun is impractical for the purpose.
Right. No.
Also,
yeah, she probably could have just brought a handgun.
Yeah, exactly. Also, come and take it. I actually really want to try this. I really would like to try to take it.
I mean,
you're gonna die if she shoots you. Why?
I actually don't think that this is too hard. If you are behind her and she doesn't know that you're gonna take it, just one hand on the bump thing, one hand on the barrel, and you can lift it straight overhead.
Well, I will leave the snatching of guns out of armed people's hands to you there, Tommy. You can have the fun with that one.
It's just his European envy for guns, you know. He wants
I don't.
I'm just kidding.
I don't mean I want to take her guns away.
Tommy,
I'm saying that I'm saying you just really want a gun. That's what I'm saying.
He's a literal gun grabber. Just watch out.
It's
exactly. Gonna grab him up.
Right.
Instead of penis envy, it's gun envy.
Gun envy.
Yeah. No, I mean I want to try this for the sake of just for fun.
Just for fun.
To see if I could.
Suicide by Kaitlin Bennett.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it if the gun is loaded and.
No,
yeah.
I remember when there was something with a gun girl. I remember Brittany Venti made some tweet where she was making fun of, just the typical MAGA girl who has a picture of her holding a gun. And it's supposed to be like, wow, like shocking, like sexy, this and that. I don't know. To me, it's like it's almost the right-wing version of, dyeing your hair blue and putting a cow ring in your nose.
To be fair, it's much more attractive.
Yeah, much more attractive than the blue hair.
That depends on A, the gun itself, and B, the person who holds the gun. That she and the gun is especially in combination, are very attractive. But I have seen like years ago the pro Second Amendment guys who run around on the streets with rifles and then get pulled over by the cops, which is usually some I don't know, bearded fat rednecks.
Right.
That's not sexy.
Hey, you know what? you don't knock it till you try it, Tommy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, what about the Covington kids? I know we haven't talked about it. The whole world has talked about it, like, a million times over at this point. But it's just such a perfect crystallized example of fake news, and the media absolutely intentionally spinning and getting shit wrong.
Yeah, I think this was a little bit of the last straw, actually, because this is the first time that I remember that there's talk about lawsuits and damages and shit, and they are pulling off large scale retractions and shit.
Yeah, I think the lawyer's name is Barnes, and he's like doing it pro bono. He does the kind of work where he does high profile and he goes to trial. He's a freaking lion.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked up the lawyer, but lawyers usually don't do shit pro bono unless, it's publicity one thing, and he probably knows that he's gonna win. That's why he does it. I mean, it's about as obvious as clear cut a case as you can get. It's just false. What they are. There's a fucking video, a 2-hour video that proves that they are lying.
Yeah, and it's multifaceted too. They're lying about a lot of things.
Yeah, and they are making shit up about kids, about minors.
Yes.
Not kids, but minors. And it leads to people on Twitter who, of course, don't get banned, calling to dox minors, calling to to throwing them in wood chippers and yeah.
They'll only
death
get
threats.
banned if they tell them to learn to code.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that's
Yeah.
crazy is people are just like they're poking fun at the whole thing, right? Saying, "Oh, you need to learn to code," and these journalists are, whining to Twitter, "Oh, do something about it, get rid of them." And yet you can post an illustration of you putting a teenager through a wood chipper because he's got a MAGA hat on. Like, are you kidding
Yep.
me? And then
This is Jack Dorsey's website.
and then we had that nasty ginger Kathy Griffin, calling her for her fans to dox like the kid and stuff. It's just like I get it. Like I saw a description. I forget this journalist's name, but she was on Joe Rogan's podcast last week, and she said like she was kind of a nerd and she couldn't stand like those jock like teenagers that you'd see standing around. So for some people, I get it. Like if you're bullied or you can't stand those type of people or whatever, and it like strikes a nerve with you emotionally.
Yeah, if you're really intolerant.
I get it. Well, yeah, if you're really intolerant, but it's like the thing is though, when it comes to journalists, like that's ridiculous that these journalists are leading with their emotion. You basically, when you're in journalism, don't you get trained to look at things objectively and not go by your emotions?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. No, journalism's dead. Dan Bongino has been saying it for the last couple of weeks. It's true. Journalism is dead in the traditional sense. I mean, people still do journalism, but it's not on TV.
Yeah, Tim Pool does journalism, for example. Journalists are activists.
Few and far between.
In Germany, for example, a little off topic, but in Germany, for example, they did a survey I think 2 years ago, something, about political affiliations or sympathies with journalists, and they found out that a lot of journalists have sympathies or alliances or something to the Green Party and to definitely left-wing parties in general, but especially the Green Party is way overrepresented, and as compared to the general public as a whole. Yeah, journalists nowadays are activists. There's no separation between factual reporting and opinion or bad. It's become one thing over the last few. I don't know, maybe before Obama, but I'd say probably since Obama legalized propaganda.
Yeah. What act was that? The Smith month. I don't know. The Smith month or something he repealed, but yeah, absolutely made it completely 100% legal for the government to propagandize people, and that's something that is like another one of those things that is just an inconvenient fact that it's not hidden, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that. I mean, I'm not an American, but still.
It's even more insidious than there's all activists in the media. Like that is one thing. It's another thing when you have all activists in the media who are pretending to be journalists and are portraying themselves as these sort of whatever middle of the road, just bringing you the facts, straight and narrow sort of people when they're not, and it's caused I think a lot of the polarization we see, because if the policies that Donald Trump is pushing are not they're not proportional in their extremeness to the reaction. It's totally inflated on a massive scale because these people are not reporting news.
Yeah, it's the outrage business basically. I just came up with the term, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, they sell you outrage. I mean, objectively speaking, the world has never been better than now. There's never been more peace, even with all the Islamic bullshit going on. The human population as a whole has never been more wealthy, more educated, etc. And you don't sell newspapers with basically everything is fine. you sell newspapers with, oh my god, Putin is gonna, I don't know.
He's
Seriously,
gonna
I haven't
He's
thought.
gonna
he's gonna
fuck
break
your mom.
he's gonna break wind in the elevators.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean so the Covington story is, I think, for a lot of people, brought what we're talking about, and something that I think all of us have been talking about and seeing for a while. But this is something that, for lack of a better word, normies or people who aren't really tuned into politics can look, and it'll break their conditioning, because they see these people who they supposedly trust as a news source just blatantly slandering these kids for really no reason, like literally no reason, to the point where it's absurd and ridiculous, and you can't ignore it. If you're really looking at it, you can't ignore it.
Yeah, I remember back when the Kavanaugh stuff went on. I remember watching I said this on the stream, by the way, back then, that a lot of people walked away because of Kavanaugh, because they said this is the last straw. I can't in good conscience support this party anymore. And I didn't I haven't watched any walkaway videos lately, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another wave of walkaway videos going. Yeah, this Covington stuff is just too much. I see it for what it is now.
Well, I was watching a video today. I forget the guy was saying it, but you're right about, if people look at what's going on, the conditioning can be broken, because it's like right out in the open. It's very obvious. You connect all the dots. Social issues are being used against us. They use racial issues to use it against minorities. They use all these different things that people think it's about their liberation, but they've really been tricked through, I don't know, cognitive dissonance, whatever it is, to like fight for things that are not good for them. And I remember saying this last episode, but it's obvious that it's just all a scam right now, and I think people are waking up.
Yeah, even this doesn't really necessitate you being a Trump fan or liking Trump's policies, or liking him. All it takes is you looking at the situation rationally and saying, okay, well, he wants to build a border wall, and then looking at the response, or just in the greater cultural context, like with the Covington thing, like, okay, so there's somebody who has a different political opinion than me. Do I support what the media and all these people did to him? And as a supposedly a protected person, somebody who's under the age of 18. So it's not something that is specific to the MAGA fans like myself. It's not something that is like within the base. It's a greater representation of the kind of discourse that our culture is going through right now.
It is also it goes beyond some superficial political stuff, and it starts eroding the basic freedoms. It's basically, I don't know the Bill of Rights by heart, but I'm pretty sure that there are at least like 3, 4, maybe 5 laws, amendments. No.
You talking about the Bill of Rights? Yeah, they're the first
amendments.
First amendment.
There are at least 3, 4, 5 amendments in the Bill of Rights that are just blatantly violated with this. I want to say Kavanaugh now. Yeah, that as well with the Covington stuff. You have freedom of speech. Fuck that. You have like what is it?
Freedom of association, freedom of religion.
No, I was thinking about.
Put me on the spot here, man.
Punishment stuff that is about actual justice. If you go to court, it's
cruel and unusual punishment. Yeah. I don't know
that stuff. Court of public opinion. It's just it's that stuff that concerns everyone. That is not specific to a specific group of people, but to all people. And I think that a lot of people are who are not necessarily on a Trump team, or who are also against Trump specifically and against MAGA specifically, who see the writing on the wall. Yeah, if they are doing this to them, then sooner or later it's not gonna stay with them. It's gonna
Well, yeah, and not to
Affect
mention,
everything.
look at what's happening with Hollywood right now. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people in Hollywood who are just being Kevin Hart, even Ellen DeGeneres. I mean, like how much more do you need to see before you realize that this, whatever it is, I mean, the left at this point, the radical left, will eat their own and is going to eat their own, is
Yeah.
currently doing it, and will do it in the future. It's how it works. Republicans do it a little bit too, but it's just the ideology lends itself specifically to strife, intersectionalism, and dividing people up, treating people differently based on how they present themselves, how they are, what they look like, immutable characteristics. I mean, what else do you think you're going to cause by doing that besides fighting and discord? I mean, it's pretty simple to me.
Prince of Queens calls this starving piranha syndrome.
Yep.
I don't know if this is an official term. It should be.
Yeah, I've heard that before. You know, if you have a ravenous ideology and you always need an enemy to devour, well, you better watch
Yeah.
out. Someday it's
Yeah.
going to be you. Someday it's going to be you.
I thought about the similarities between the Antifa and Starship Troopers lately, because both cannot exist without conflict and without war. The society in Starship Troopers and Antifa as well. Antifa is basically the army in Starship Troopers. Their whole existence is built on fighting something and fighting someone.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, not only is it about fighting people or someone, it's just profiting off of people's negative emotions. That's really what it is.
Very
Yeah,
capitalistic of them.
And so, like, they're actually inflicting trauma. If you want to be all SJW-y, like you want to talk like they do, and to an extent, it's true. But like, they're the ones who are actually inflicting trauma on people.
Like, yeah, real physical, actual trauma.
Yeah, it's they're basically a self-fulfilling prophecy. We make problems. Now there are problems. We need to fight problems, and by fighting problems, they make more problems.
It's literally reminds me of being like in a relationship with somebody who has like narcissistic personality disorder or something, where it's like, you know, this person is dominating you, like striking fear into you, manipulating you, this and that. You know, yeah, this is kind of an interesting analogy. But I kind of think about it when you're like thinking about political affiliations, left or right. In my mind, the so-called right now, they're just more about liberty and freedom. Like, I'd much rather be in a relationship where somebody trusts you, they want you to be responsible, they want you to be your best version, or do you want to go to the left and date the girl that wants to keep you down and manipulate you so they can keep getting out of you what they need, you know? It's just like, that's the way I look at it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially that's very true with like minority communities in the Democratic Party, because it's like, it's a difference between like handouts and, well, we're going to treat you fairly, but you have to do everything, you know, you have to be responsible for your own life. Like at some point it's I don't know, it's the product of a welfare system, and you know, it's a shame. It's almost like the same thing that happens with like international aid to very, very poor countries. It tends to make them stuck in a cycle, because I mean, look, if you're giving everybody food and trying to like help everybody by like absolutely boxing out the local farmers, well, I mean, they can't sell their crops. What incentive is it for them to actually start producing for their own nation when they're like stuck on this opiate teat of food shipments? You know what I mean? It saps the ability for you to like take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's also foreign aid is generally, it comes with a lot of conditions.
Sure.
They don't just ship foreign aid to countries for no reason. It comes with a lot of conditions, and these conditions are usually, in my opinion, not just by accident, but by design, made and formulated in a way where it keeps these countries down. It is what Stick says, basically. This is the modern form of imperialism without firing a gun.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very financial, but it's there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting. It's like I'm thinking if the left, the quote unquote left, keeps pushing things so far, they're gonna fuck up the Overton window so bad that it's gonna completely flip around. In like 10 years of this stuff, like we're actually gonna be calling those people right wingers. I really feel like, I mean, because they're just so authoritarian. And I know it sounds weird. It's probably a little far fetched or whatever, but it's like nothing shocks me. I would not be surprised.
Well, the term right wing and left wing are pretty diluted right now
Yeah.
anyway. To the point where I made a video about this like almost a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago maybe, where I was just saying like political labels almost don't mean anything anymore, to the point where you have to actually speak to people on a basis to basis issue on like as far as specific things they have opinions on, because you know you say you're a liberal, but you support the restriction of speech, you support big government that will abuse people. It's like, is that liberal? No, it's not liberal, but that's what we call the American left. You know what I mean? We call it the right wing, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean in America. Pretty much, it's an economic thing. We're dealing with a set of beliefs or ideology on the quote unquote modern right wing of America that's pretty much economic. Stay out of my business, lower taxes, lower regulation, free markets, trying to like breathe some sort of like free air into a system that's become overly Soviet style. And well, you get people who don't actually look into this and who have no conception of what people actually think and the ideologies behind them, and they go around calling people who support Trump fucking Nazis, pretending like Nazis are right wing. It's absolutely like what like so to a certain extent, you're absolutely right. It would not shock me to hear anybody get called right wing in the next 10 years. Who the fuck knows the way that these people are going to shift, and it doesn't really mean anything. They're just authoritarians. You know what I mean? They just want power. They think they have the right to it. They think that they're going to do good, but just like all tyrants, it doesn't matter. It really
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
they think Bernie Sanders is too far right.
Well, yeah, I heard that some Clinton loyalists, they like already vowed that they will not back Bernie. They won't support him. They're still hanging on to that because they're mad about Hillary not winning or something.
Just
Yeah.
imagine the world you live in, where you just held a 4-year political grudge.
I can't imagine. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's how you make proper politics. That's how you run a country. You just act like fucking children who are fuck, what's the English word?
What's the German word?
Beleidigt.
I'll go. Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
But no, I was gonna say though, real quick, like I really have this vision. Like, imagine if Hillary won by now. If she was president by now, she'd be, they'd be trotting her out like she's Kim Jong Il or Kim Jong Un, and we'd have to thank our great mother every day for a new day. I mean, she even used to dress like a Maoist, like in debates. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, I've offended, sore, affronted, insulted, sulkily, aggrieved.
Oh, so like whiny little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I lost. I take my ball and go home.
Yeah, that kind of
thing. I'm voting against everything you vote for just because.
Isn't it sad that that's like a large part of the politics of the day?
Yeah, that's an entire party in America right now. That's basically every left-wing party. I mean, in all fairness, during Obama's terms, there were quite a few Republicans that the roles were basically switched a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't do it to the extent that the leftists do it, but there were definitely things where the Republicans were against stuff Obama did just to be against stuff Obama did.
Yeah. Well, if y'all are cool with it, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the perfect countries because mine's kind of short and sweet, and it's not hyper detailed because anyway. So I just want I would essentially like a system where municipalities and cities have proportionally more power over actual laws that govern people's lives than the federal government. I would like there to be a strong but skeletal federal structure that, is basic to what kind of laws you can or cannot have, and then diffuse the power upward from municipalities to states to federal governments. The federal government essentially being running the military, governing interstate commerce, and protecting the borders. Pretty much it. The states can do everything else under that. That's important to have, bigger systems to take care of, and anything that can be taken care of on a municipal level will be taken care of on a municipal level. And in order to be a member of your municipal government, you have to live in that area. I mean, there's none of this, none of this Washington rule style thing. None of this. These people come from all over. They spend years and years in Washington, and then what do we have? We have a country that is basically ruled by one city and the politics of one city, regardless, left or right. I mean, you see it by the melding of the parties, the neocons and the neoliberals becoming one, and all this to say there's still going to be governmental structures on all these levels, but it's just the power shifting towards a very grassroots style structure that allows the most amount of people to have the most amount of power in their communities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure, like, with all the nitty gritty of like the complete structure of a country. I think in my mind, like, one thing I'd like to see in the future is, like when it comes to leading a country, if we had a good way of really vetting these people, making sure that they represent the people, I would be fine with having like multiple individuals at the head of government in a way, instead of just like one president. That's one thing that kind of, I wonder, like, because we always have these big like debates going on like every 4 years, and like, it's like we have to get this one person in here and everybody's got their trust in that one individual. To me, I feel like having that one individual at the helm is kind of like risky. So it'd be interesting if we had like a group of qualified individuals. I don't know how that would work, but I don't know. I don't like the idea of just like one guy leading everything.
Yeah, it's basically in northern Syria. This is where the Kurdish northern Syria is western Kurdistan, I think. They have every leading position filled with two people, one male and one female. Yeah, this is a very, very communistic society that seems to work somewhat fine.
They're
Okay.
Marxists?
Oh yeah, Kurds are extremely Marxist.
Oh really?
I did not know this. Where did they get that influence? That's crazy.
Yeah, the Abdullah Öcalan is basically he's the leader or former leader of the Kurdish Workers' Party, which is a terrorist organization, and he has a lot of influence taken from, I think, Asian communist groups from the 70s,
China.
80s.
All roads lead to China.
Yeah, them Chinese.
All communist roads lead to China. I wonder why. Maybe because it's a giant communist country.
Yeah. Yeah, my country would be, first of all, Bavaria would become a country. Fuck Germany, fuck the European Union, fuck the United Nations. Germany would be, Bavaria would be a separate country. Bavaria would have a strict border policy, which means you only get to come unless you're a tourist. I mean, if you want to stay in the country, if you want to live here, You only get to do that if you have a value to the country. Either you bring money, or you bring goods, or you bring your labor, basically. There would be a universal basic income that would be very somewhat. There would be a lot of things in combined in the universal basic income. For example, schooling. I don't like public schools. I want private schools, but you can have in the universal basic income, you can have a separate thing for, instead of, I said this before, instead of the government paying for literal government schools, they just give you money to use for school specifically.
Yeah, directly
And,
subsidize
yeah.
a private school system,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Basically, it's basically
totally
a fancy word for
like
school
that.
vouchers.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't want to break you too much here, but like essentially anything that government spends money on, in my mind, should actually just be directly subsidized to people, because people are always going to spend their money better. Like there should really never be a position where bureaucracies are massively buying shit for people. Like it's just never going to work. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I would voting system is a little more complicated because I'm not in favor of everyone having a right to vote. This is another thing that I would first of all a little bit handle like in Starship Troopers, which means if you want to vote, you have to go to the military, you have to do your standard military service in Germany. This was nine months until they got rid of it a few years ago. I'm not talking about going to war, by the way. I'm just talking about basic military service, basic training, which is. I have an echo.
That might have just been the stream.
Yeah. Okay. And the subsequent, what you have then is a military trained populace, which means you basically don't need an army anymore because you have a whole country full of reservists, basically. I think Switzerland does it sort of like this a little bit. In Switzerland, you can I don't know if they have mandatory military service, but if you go to military, you can keep your gun. The only thing they do is they deactivate the fully automatic mode, so you only have semi-automatic as a civilian. You don't have a machine gun anymore,
which is dumb.
Yeah, okay. I can live with that. I can live with.
I can live with it. I just don't understand. I don't know. To me, it's like, it's just it's like why? I don't know. I can live with it. It's not a big deal, but it's indicative of like, well, we don't want you to ever have more firepower than the government, and it's like, well, why? Fuck you.
Yeah,
I want as much firepower as you.
Your government is definitely always going to have more firepower than you because your government has fighter jets and bombs and
yes, of course,
tanks.
of course. But I think that we should be able to have that. I think that we should be able to have. I want an Abrams tank. Tank, and if I get rich enough, I want an F-16 with fucking Hornet missiles. Damn it.
You sound like Styx Hexenhammer.
That's what I want. Well, look, it's how the United States was really originally set up. I mean, there were entire like fleets of private people who had massive cannons just sailing around the seas because they had to, protect themselves from pirates and shit.
Yeah.
And like totally legal, of course, but nowadays you couldn't, like drive around your car with like a 50 caliber mounted machine gun.
You want to live in Twisted Metal? That's what you want as a reality. The video game Twisted Metal.
No, it's like it's a little bit like where I actually agree with the ANCAPs because like on some of it, I can see like, well, that's not gonna work. But like when you talk to them, they always like some of the stuff that they say in the rhetoric they use is like stuff like, well, people are reasonable and they're not going to go crazy with their ability to do literally anything. And that's kind of my take on the gun thing or the weaponry thing with that. Like I don't think that you would run into too many issues where it was like a problem. I mean, you might have like aficionados or whatever who just like to collect the stuff for whatever reason, but the whole point is, it's supposed to be a government run for the people by the people, not for the government by the government. So that's where my take on the gun and weaponry thing is like the government and the military really should just be the collection of the people, anyway, especially if you're just trying to go for something defensive, which anyway sounds kind of like what you were talking about for your future Bavaria. Everybody was going to take their military stuff home and
Yeah, not all of it, just the handgun stuff and the rifle stuff, not tanks.
oh, they're not going to take their fighter jets home.
Yeah, you can't just keep your fighter jet. It doesn't matter, that fucking thing costs
If
like
you
50
like your
million.
if you like your fighter jet, you could keep your fighter jet.
Yeah.
But I mean, this whole thing with the governments, it really isn't that difficult. If you really go down to the core of like what the needs of like a human being are, if we could go back to something like that, where we really talk about something for the people, by the people, it's like what kind of government can you construct that's going to help ease people's lives? I mean, that's why we live in societies. When you look at, the ancients and before you had organized societies, life was terrible, like horrifyingly terrible. And the reason why people came together is it's like, well, how can we be protected so that we can prosper? So, and I think that's kind of what Trump is trying to do. I think that's what the populists are really trying to do. People are looking at issues saying, what do the people want? What's going to really benefit them? And, you sell it to them and try and find a way to do it. This whole idea of you go into government to gain power, that whole idea, we need to just dash that into pieces, because it's just a recipe for disaster,
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. I am intrigued by your I want you to elaborate a little bit more about that. So you were talking about your military service and so would your voting populace would be made up of current and former members of the military, or just people who went through their 9 months or whatever?
People who went through basic training. If you don't go to basic military training, you can't have a right to vote. Why should you have a right to? I absolutely understand this, by the way. Why should you have a right to vote in a country that you refuse to defend if necessary?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's sound logic. I mean, I think universal suffrage is definitely a luxury. Like, it's nice to have, but like at the same time, if like, I don't know, if it was a different world, like a more harsh world, we live in a pretty nice place. Like, there's nobody out there like really. I mean, there are subversive elements, but there's no super villains that in my mind out there like who are going to hijack the populace. But at the same time, we live in a world where propaganda is around, so it could happen. It could really happen. And what you're talking about is
that's why
not the craziest thing. Yeah, it's definitely not the craziest thing. I mean, but you say that to people, and if you just say to your average anybody American, like, universal suffrage isn't something that is always good. You know what I mean? A nuanced take on it, they would just look at you and be like, "Oh, you hate women? You hate women and people who aren't from here? Like, what, you hate them?" It's like, no. It's
like, well, and I also want to touch on one thing that's kind of interesting is it's like one side wants, all these rights protected. They want all these rights recognized, like the left does or the far left, but they have no respect for the responsibility that comes with freedom. You know what I mean? It's like, sure. And if you're gonna live in a free society, you it's not like, oh, I get a bunch of goodies and life is great. It's like, no, this is entrusted to you, and this is your responsibility to be a competent individual. And it's like, that's it. That's all it is. And it's like, if you want these things, you need to be responsible. You can't.
Yeah, no, I see that totally. Would you be able to run for office in New Bavaria if you hadn't done that?
I haven't even thought about that. I mean, at this point, I think meritocracy outweighs this. So yeah, if you would make a good politician, you make a good politician.
So you can run for office
I mean,
but you
by the
can't
way,
vote for yourself.
Also government employees don't have a right to vote as well.
And well, was that explicit? Like, even if you were in the military and then you went into the government work, you wouldn't be able to vote?
Yes,
But would
because
you be able to vote when you got out of government?
as long as you work if the government pays your
Gotcha.
pays your salary, you cannot have a right to vote. You cannot have a right to vote over your own salary.
Now,
No.
what if somebody can't physically join the military? I say like.
Yeah, that's different. Exactly. That's a different thing.
Well, I was gonna say, with that being said, in that case, I think maybe there should be some sort of like a civics test or exam that you have to pass. Like if you can't join the military, something like that, there could be some other alternative. Not like, I don't think it should be where it's like, oh, okay, like just because of this, you get this. It's like, all right, we recognize your inability to serve in the military, so here's like something else that you can sort of do to prove like your
what if like
or whatever.
I think there could also be like different levels of it. Like if you can't join the military because like you're just a giant slob fat ass who's never gonna lose weight and you're just never gonna make the you know what I mean? You're just never gonna make the physical requirements, but you can like work an office job. Like there's tons of shit to do in the military. Like it doesn't necessarily. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Tommy, but like there's definitely like.
Yeah, you can
administrative things to do. Like somebody's got to pay the bills. Somebody's got to do the paperwork.
Exactly. Someone has to cook food, do the laundry, etc. Mow the grass.
Oh gosh. Now would I be able to immigrate to New Bavaria if I was like just as a like a working class person with a job?
Sure, why not? If you have a job.
But
if you have money, if you are not a drain on the if you're not a drain on the taxpayer.
So how long do I have to be a citizen before I get the universal basic income?
You get universal. Yeah, this is another thing. Universal basic income only applies to, first of all, Germans. First of all, there's no dual citizenship. Fuck that shit right away. Second, universal basic income only applies to citizens, and only to citizens that live in Germany. Which means if you are a German citizen, if you're a Bavarian citizen that doesn't live in Bavaria, you don't get a universal basic income from Bavaria.
And if I were to immigrate there, even though I was a citizen, I wouldn't ever get universal basic income because I'm born there.
If you take the citizenship, if you take the Bavarian citizenship, sure, because then you're a citizen.
Okay,
if you just as a non-citizen move to Bavaria, no, then not. If you
and that would be a lot of. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So it's actually interesting because there's a potential there for you to immigrate to Bavaria, but never be a citizen, just like all the other people who aren't citizens who are born there, but you won't ever get universal basic income. You'll have to just have a job and work in the economy.
No, it's like you have it in America basically, or like you should have it in America, which is if you are a non-citizen that lives and works in America, you do not have a right, or you should not have a right to be part of the social security system unless you pay into the social security system. I think this is how it should be right now, right?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. My question and my hang up is, I guess, more terminal, like as with terms, like because I'm seeing something where like if I were to immigrate there but not take the citizen, actually not become a citizen of Bavaria, but I immigrate there and like in the traditional sense, I do become a denizen of the country, but I'm not from there. So based on what you told me, I'm not going to get universal basic income because I'm not gonna become a citizen. Or is there a separate like category? Is it like a word that I'm missing where you are technically a citizen, you just don't have the right to vote?
No, you are only a citizen if you have the citizenship. If you have the Bavarian citizenship, then you're a citizen. I don't know how you what the word is for someone who lives in a country permanently but doesn't have the citizenship of the country. I don't know what the term is for that actually.
Well, but isn't there going to be a
Expats?
large population of people who are native born in New Bavaria who aren't citizens?
Well, the
Because they don't want to vote. Just people who are like all pretty much anybody who's just not going to join the military and doesn't care about voting. You know what I mean?
well, if you don't join the military, you're still a citizen. You just don't have a right to vote.
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if
See,
you
that's
are
where I was
born in
getting hung
Bavaria,
up.
if you are born in Bavaria, you still have Bavarian citizenship.
Cool. That's where I was getting hung up
I
a
mean,
little
if
bit.
you are born in Bavaria and you have at least one Bavarian parent, at least one parent with Bavarian citizenship.
So I could come and
no anchor
immigrate to
babies, no anchor babies.
No anchor babies. So I could come in and get a job, and I would be a citizen, and I would get universal basic income, but I wouldn't be able to vote unless I did the military service.
Yeah, this
Correct.
is a difficult issue because if you move to Bavaria when you're 50 years old, and you take the citizenship when you're 50 years old, you can hardly expect a 50-year-old man or a 50-year-old person to do 9 months of basic military training just to have a right to vote. This is and
Well,
that
it would
case,
definitely
you
create
also
a
have to-
young, vibrant, and the people who are old who can vote would definitely be vested in the country. I mean, I can definitely see it creating it would definitely create a political system that was very stable. I mean, however it turned out, it would be pretty stable because you wouldn't have wild changes. You wouldn't have wild swings between ideologies. It would just pretty much be your same general Bavarian who maybe has different opinions, but at least believes in the system that they live in and like enjoys their country and loves their military. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have like some of the more aberrant or like military hatings or like self-loathing style politics that you get in America, like with kind of like the rabid left who like they literally hate cops and military people. Not all.
Yeah.
Hashtag not all. But there's a lot of them who like literally hate police officers, and it's like, wow, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And they can vote.
Yeah, I fully admit that there's definitely a political reason behind it, behind the system that I'm talking right now, because yeah, you have significantly less left-wing voters in that system because left-wingers don't join the military.
Well, even if they do,
I'm really pissed that I didn't get to do basic military training, because when this applied to me, I was actually it was actually still mandatory for men back then. But there are 5 different categories that you, according to your abilities, can have. This is 1 through 5, and 1 is best. And 5 basically means you're retarded. I had 5. Yeah. I'm very underweight, and I had a lot of drug stuff going on back then, and it really pisses me off because this would have been a disciplinary measure for my life that I really needed back then, that I didn't get. Back then, as a lefty, of course, yeah, no military bad. But yeah, in retrospect, I really regret that. I really regret not having had basic military training.
Well, I think I would like to at least visit New Bavaria. I don't know if I would stay, but I would definitely come and spend money on your beer and your wonderful tourist spots.
I don't like Bavarian culture very much.
Is it like fried foods, or is that just like Americanized Bavarian?
No, I mean fried foods.
Like Bavarian style stuff here is always fried.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to see examples. Bavarian culture is Lederhosen and Dirndl and Biergarten and
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we have beer
Volksfest.
gardens here, so we have a little Bavarian spirit.
I don't. Yeah, the optics of the Bavarian culture is something that never really appealed to me at all.
Stop being
It's
so
like very
culturally
classical.
insensitive, Boone. You racist.
It's like very quintessential like German stereotypes, right? Like
Yeah, the thing is, it's the German stereotype that you have America that isn't actually German, it's just Bavarian. When Americans think about when Americans close their eyes and they think about what does Germany look like, they don't think about Germany. They think exclusively of Bavaria. This is
A lot of
Bavarian
people do that with
image.
America. A lot of people close their eyes and picture like a Texan guy or like a Southern Georgia guy.
This is basically the same thing.
No, when Boone closes his eyes and he thinks about the world, it's all stereotypes and very racist things. That's
yeah, lots of bulging lips and
yeah. Oh my god.
In Japan, everyone dresses like anime characters.
Everybody.
Giant eyes, like half the size of their head. Speaking of, there's like a new movie out, I think called Battle Angel or something like that, and it's like I have no interest in seeing it, but like the CGI, it's like real life, and there's this girl who has giant anime eyes, like on it. It is the creepiest thing. Yeah, it is so creepy. It's like realistic CGI. So but like it's ridiculous.
That's
it's like
so weird.
Maybe we needed 2 extra fucking nukes. I don't know what fucking happened in that culture, but anime is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the stuff that's out now, I haven't really watched, but I like a lot of like retro, like anime, like 80s, 90s kind of stuff back when, people were still like actually like hand illustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it. Whatever. If you like anime, you like anime. I don't care. But like at the same time, I don't know. It's just like because I like cartoons, but the excessively Japanese ones are a little bit much, but like there was like a couple of older ones that were really famous that like the movies, I can't remember what they're called, but a couple of like anime style movies that came out maybe 15 years ago.
Well, you know what's really funny, like comedy one I could see you liking? I think it's like late 70s. It's called Lupin the Third. I don't know if you've ever seen Lupin the Third.
This is
yeah, it's
a lot of Lupin, by the way.
Lupin. Yeah, right. But there are a lot of different ones. But the original series, he's like this guy who's a cat burglar that goes to all the different like wonders of the world and pulls these schemes, and he's also a massive pervert. So it's just really hilarious.
Yeah, this is just funny. Anime in general. Everyone is massive perverts.
Yeah, everyone is. And then like there's this like stupid like gumshoe detective that's always like on his trail, and he thinks he's gonna get him every time, and then it's kind of like there's a little Wile E. Coyote kind of themes in it in a way, so it's kind of interesting.
That's cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, these eyes are weird. This is
are you checking it out right now? It's like really weird.
Pull them up on stream. I want to see this girl's eyes. Can you pull it up on stream? I want to see her face.
Yeah.
It's like very creepy. It just gives you the chills.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is weird.
This is
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, real people don't have anime eyes. This is
no, they don't.
Very uncanny valley.
This is a very Americanized film, very American kind of idea. Hey, let's do like this real to life like CGI thing, and we'll make them look like anime characters.
I don't know how it's gonna do in theaters. I mean, people will kind of watch anything nowadays, but still.
I think she looks a little bit like Brittany Venti.
yeah, it's her. No, but I was gonna say like I can almost not. It's so strange to imagine like paying money to go see something nowadays. Just with everything you can watch on just YouTube alone or whatever, the idea of like spending money to go see a movie just sucks. But then again, this is somebody who is willing to send people super chats on YouTube. So
hey, I send H.A. Goodman super chats maybe once or twice a month. Yeah, because he's really I like H.A. Goodman streams, and like he's a good creator. Like I don't always agree with him, but that's good. You don't always want to agree with people.
No.
And he's just a reasonable person. He's a lot like maybe like Styx or Scott Adams in the sense where he's he just is looking at the actual picture. You know what I mean? But he also like his live streams are a little bit rambly, and when he gets super chats, he usually reads them out and talks for, you know what I mean, like talks to you as if somebody like addresses the super chat. You know, some people just read them out and move on, and I just think it's really cool that he interact. It's like and sometimes it's just fun to make him laugh. You know what I mean? He'll sit there and laugh at a super chat for like 30 seconds. But yeah, live streams are the way of the future.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're allowed to voice anything at all in the future on the internet, you know, it's like you almost have to get the okay. Like you can't even encourage people to learn how to code. What a sick society!
What you can't do is harass underage boys for wearing a hat.
That's nuts. In fact, fine. Wasn't it okay? So when Obama was shutting down coal mines and factories and stuff, wasn't there a thing going around where people were telling those blue-collar workers to learn code? Weren't journalists doing that? Yeah,
that's the whole point of
thing about it. But I saw somebody
people did that.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. It was Christian O'Brien. He's from 1791. I don't know if you've seen their videos, but he retweeted, and other people were doing it. But he retweeted a HuffPost article that was talking about like we really need to figure out ways to get young women into code. So he's like, Huffington Post is telling women that they need to learn how to code. But
well, targeted harassment campaign.
I mean,
better
it's
get
like
them on restricted access as soon as possible.
Well, and it's ridiculous. Like, so the first like journalist, aka the whiny bitch that started this, he basically was mad because people like said this to him. So he went and wrote an article talking about an individual who was harassed, but he worded it in a way where he made it sound like he was talking about somebody else, but he was talking about himself. And then he was calling on
disingenuous.
Yeah, and then so he's like, Twitter, do something, and like the next day he's like, it's been like 15 hours and they still haven't done anything. And so then Jack Dorsey, Jack Dorsey ended up
on his knees.
Well, yeah, and he secretly was suppressing it, and it's just ridiculous. It's like these individuals, these journalists, they think they're a protected class, and they're just a bunch of assholes. Not all of them, but they're just like assholes,
It's crazy because like you think about like why journalists should be protected, and it's because that like the actual function of journalism is important. Well, here's the deal. They're not journalists. They're subverting the actual functions of journalism by what they're doing. So, like, I don't understand why you as an activist posing as a journalist would actually expect anybody to treat you like a journalist. You know what I mean? Especially in the context of protected. You know what I mean? Really, that only extends to government abuse anyway. Like private people are free to abuse the hell out of journalists however they see fit. You know what I mean? As long as it's not illegal. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's because they live with this privilege, with this I can tell you what to do. I am literally the voice that tells you what is wrong and right or wrong, and they can't deal with the fact that this is changing. The world is changing
fast.
Yeah, they are losing their power, and people don't like losing.
Nope.
Yeah, no, especially when it's that kind of power.
Yeah.
Ultimate, like little G God style power.
In Germany, you have literal state television.
Yeah, UK too. Probably most of Europe.
Yeah, but in UK at least you can get rid of paying for it by not having it. In Germany you can't. In Germany you have to pay for it even if you don't use it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if this term makes sense, but it's like when you think about tyranny and fascism and all that in the past. It's more like brute force, this and that. And I feel like the tyranny or fascism, whatever you want to call it, of today is inverted in a way. So
yeah, that's why it's so dangerous, because you don't. Yeah, exactly. Because it's invisible, basically. Because it's a wolves in sheep's clothing.
Well, yeah, it's like
Yes.
they're so you had like the old type of fascist where like brutish, like it was like male kind of power in a way, and now the fascism of today, it's like a neurotic like mother that coddles its children, you know,
To death. Yeah.
to death, and and it's just interesting.
Eat your green beans. She's shoving them down your throat. No, you're right. I mean, it's soft. It's soft fascism. It's very. Oh no! It's padded walls, and oh no! Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't want to
that's so
try new
offensive.
things. Like, what if you fail? You can't do those new things. Just stay home. Don't go to school. It'll be good.
You don't learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's interesting, and it's like very soft and nice, and then once like the person who's got like some issues, what do you want to say, once you cross them and things don't go their way, well then all hell breaks loose.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's they just have no concept of freedom. I mean, not again. The style of thinking employed by socialists, communists, Marxists is very defeatist. It's you know, they're not seeing the real potential in people. It's why it's so subversive to human life, because there is no real true human life without freedom. I mean, you can't expect people to thrive under systems where I don't care how nice you dress it up, where you dictate people's lives. I mean, you have to allow people to be who they're going to be, good, bad, or ugly.
Even if you even if someone else is in control over my life, has complete control over my life, and everything he tells me that I should do is exactly what I myself would do, that still makes it a prison. Even if in execution basically nothing would change, but still the golden cage is still a cage.
That's right. Well, I think that was a good one, guys. Are we running good on time here? We're thinking about anything else prescient they want to talk about?
I think I've said everything I've wanted. I don't know about Tommy.
Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about the AfD stuff, but that's fine.
Oh, that's right. No, we can talk about that.
Do that next week. This is we should have done this at the beginning.
In the beginning, probably.
It takes a minute. Yeah, it takes a little longer, but
well, I've got some time. I wasn't trying to run off. I was just trying to wrap it up. That's why I opened it up. I'm definitely happy to hear about it. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, a few weeks ago I did an oopsie. A few weeks ago, someone bombed, more or less bombed an AfD party building thing. It's not as wild as it sounds. And a few days later, an AfD party member, a member of the German federal parliament, the Bundestag, was attacked. And at first, it was reported as specifically by the AfD itself, which should have been a little hint to me, but it wasn't. Yeah, I have the articles up right now. Yeah, it was reported as an assassination attempt, attempted murder, and the guy was hit in the head with a 2x4 and then kicked by 3 people while he was down on the ground, and only because bystanders basically tried to help is this guy still alive, and he would be dead if people wouldn't have interfered. And just to show it. Yeah, if you can see blood, look away now. That's the guy after the attack. And I, because I'm retarded, completely jumped on the bandwagon with this. And my siblings, both politically on the left, I like texted them on Skype, like, yeah, look at what the left wing does. Typical bullshit.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, it turns out, yeah, there were actually surveillance cameras. And why don't we watch that footage?
Okay. So which video? Oh, we'll just pull it up here, right? We don't need
Yeah, I pulled it up on
sound,
stream.
right?
So this is from the actual cops, by the way. Oh yeah, one thing, it was initially reported by a lot of people that there is apparently in Germany a media blackout on this thing. This is bullshit. I personally don't watch German media, but my dad does, and my dad said this was all over the news, and this was a huge fucking story. Yeah.
It's not playing yet, but there we go.
Yeah. That there would be a media blackout on this stuff, or that the media just wouldn't report on it. This is nonsense. Even the guy who was attacked himself said that he's very satisfied with the reporting on it. A lot of German politicians, basically every single German politician, did the usual, yeah, this is like the worst thing we've ever seen, and this can't go on, and like yada yada yada.
Right.
Even wait, where is it? Yeah, this is the CDU is Angela Merkel's party. So even the CDU said that the red-green Social Democrat and Green Party coalition, probably in Bremen, which is where he's from, wouldn't do enough, and is basically ignores left-wing radicals and so forth. So if Angela Merkel's party is on your side, you probably should just take your chips and go home, cash out.
Yeah.
AfD, just let it be. You have all the victim points. Everything is fine. You have a huge media push. This was a huge political success. And what do these fucking idiots do? First of all, let's watch the video.
Can you enlarge it?
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's the guy. This is probably one of the bystanders, and here these are the attackers. And if you watch closely, they are starting to pull their masks down.
Oh, okay.
Right now. See it?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
now look what actually happened. That's it.
Oh yeah, they just like bopped him over the head. He
elbowed him on the back of the head, and he fell on his face. That's it. He wasn't hit with a 2x4. He wasn't kicked while he was down. This was not an assassination attempt. The guy himself by now conceded that maybe this wasn't even political at all. Maybe this was just a
random crime
gone bad, yeah, or random crime.
Well, that's good, because it's good that you're thinking this through, because it's good to remember that, when we criticize members on the left, people that get all like sensationalized about things,
that's right.
We need to remember to think critically, because we don't really want to fall into those same traps. It's very easy to do that. So, and so obviously it's not like. It'd be different. There are some people that are shown that they're wrong politically, and they just double down and they keep going. If you can make a mistake and be like, "Oh, damn, I shouldn't have done that," and try to like reform, that's all.
Yeah, and the AfD absolutely doubled down after this video came out.
Wow.
Yeah, they went even so far as to say that the video itself might be manipulated. Yeah, I'm giving the German police the benefit of the doubt and say this video is probably not manipulated in order to by the police themselves.
Right.
What the fuck are you talking about? No, it's not. It's just it didn't happen the way you described it. I mean, I give the guy the benefit of the doubt as well.
Mhm.
He obviously had a huge fucking head wound. He probably didn't even remember what happened. He said, if I remember correctly, that this is he described it because this is how it was described to him. And this is another guy from the AfD who is a surgeon, apparently, who talks about that there is obviously
You there?
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, this is way too grainy.
Okay.
Yeah, he talked that he was obviously attacked with an object, which is
That's pretty.
If you watch the video, no, he wasn't.
Okay. You don't think he had like maybe something like a brick or something in his hand, or?
Yeah, the thing is, even if he did, it's still impossible because he is on the other side of him.
Oh.
So what? Look, shit.
No, I see.
Okay, the wound is on his right side on his forehead, which means here on the other side of his head.
Oh.
Here. And he elbowed him, and now he already goes down. His head is already somewhere down here.
So it looks like the cement did most of the damage then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the left arm of this guy makes no movement whatsoever in the direction of his head, even if he had something in his hand.
I see what you're saying.
He pulls away. Now it looks like he's sitting down, but again, his head is somewhere down here already.
Now I wonder did they figure out?
And this is a hand, obviously.
Oh yeah, did they find these guys? Did they arrest them or whatever? Because I'm wondering, like, I wonder if it's like, who knows if maybe it was some really radical far right people that are like, let's just pose as like people attacking him.
As far as I read today, they haven't found them yet. There's a reward out, 3,000 euros for.
Well, I wonder who they are, because it seems like you said, the far right is doubling down on the story, so it makes.
Yeah, I mean, again, the party itself as a whole, like, dialed it back a little because it's obvious that it's not what they described. But yeah, they should have just said, okay, we got that wrong.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They doubled down, and now they look like idiots.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was pretty interesting. That was good.
Well, fake news abound. It's not just the left.
Yeah, I'm very, very disappointed.
Yeah. Well.
Guys.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is a good episode. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I have I forgot to show this before, but the what's her name? Kaitlin Bennett.
Yeah.
There's a video where a guy threatens to rape her.
Oh man.
To her face?
Yeah, it's on video. It's on camera.
Wow.
Very progressive.
Very progressive. That's crazy.
No, that's That's as progressive as it gets.
Yeah, gosh.
That's
right, nuts.
Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of seals the deal. The far left has lost its mind.
Yeah, and the female who stands next to the guy didn't hear it, of course.
Right, of course not. All right.
What? That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the tolerant left, guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great episode. We think we're gonna wrap this up. We'll see y'all guys next week or whatever.
Yeah, next week is a good time. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah. Bye.